All right, so it looks like John Stossel. This is a guy who has a really weird facial hair. But anyways, aside from that, he actually, I believe, used to be on Fox News. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that's where I've heard that name from. So of course he's going to be your typical douchebag. Now, what you guys are going to be seeing is Dave. So Dave Rubin's done. He's milked the "I left the left" cow an unbelievable amount. Literally infinitely milked that shit to death. Milked it so hard that the cow died. But he made a video with PragerU, saying why I left the left and oppression Olympics and, bigoteer and, all left is no longer taught. All of that shit, right? He's done that. And that's one of his token cards that he plays, with the other token card being that he's gay and a Republican. So, or conservative. Well, he's libertarian conservative is what he is. So I want you guys to check this out, and then we'll come back and talk about it.
We are not the problem.
Yeah. Do you have a question?
Hate speech does incite violence. Hate speech does incite violence. Black lives matter.
Yeah, gotcha.
These protesters don't want this man to speak. The speaker is Dave Rubin.
Hello, Internet. My name is Dave Rubin. I am the newest host here on The Young Turks.
He was once a leftist.
Obviously, I'm for Obamacare.
You and I both started on the left.
Yeah.
Why did you switch?
Oh, I woke up.
He woke up, he says, after he started doing a podcast and interviewed guests like Larry Elder.
The most blatant racist example you can come up with right now.
Cops are more willing to shoot if the perpetrator is black.
What's your data?
Than white.
What's your basis for saying that? 70% of the homicides are black on black. The idea that a racist white cop and shooting unarmed black people is a peril to black people is BS.
And he just beat me with fact over fact over fact about how systemic racism doesn't exist. Not that racism doesn't exist.
The more people he interviewed, the more he questioned his former beliefs.
I realized that not everyone that these people disagreed with could be a racist and a bigot and a homophobe and a sexist. And that was the argument that was constantly being laid out. If there was a Republican that gave a speech and said, we should lower taxes, their answer was he's racist. Now that actually makes no sense.
Rubin now considers himself a classical liberal. On his podcast, he tries to interview people from the left and the right.
Should government subsidize gay marriage and straight marriage the same way?
Rubin was surprised that many people on the right were willing to debate.
For all the differences that we might have, I'm pro-choice. Most of them are pro-life. I'm against the death penalty. Most of them are for the death penalty. They're all willing to sit down and discuss ideas.
When I went from left to libertarian, the right was willing to argue.
If you believe in the individual, then you fundamentally understand that individuals are different. So you are willing to sit down with someone different than you.
Some of his podcasts last 1 or more hours. I never thought that people would listen to interviews that long, but millions of people watch.
I didn't know what was going to happen, but I started doing more of these long-form interviews, and people kept watching, and then suddenly I realized, whoa, there's a lot of people that are thinking the things that I'm thinking. Not just me, by the way, there's Joe Rogan and there's others. We're allowing people to go, all right, let's really listen to something. Let's really unpack an idea. You don't learn anything when you watch CNN. You will actually be dumber having watched CNN.
Because you have your own issues and demons to resolve.
All right, guys, we're live on the YouTube.
Because the Rubin Report features some controversial guests.
Milo Yiannopoulos, welcome to the show.
And because he sometimes criticizes leftists, and maybe because his podcasts are so successful, his former colleagues now hate him.
The right wing loves him now because he's a puppet for the right wing. He was lazy when he worked here. He's lazy now with his ridiculous show.
She just sounds envious.
I lost friends. I still lose friends now. I mean, it's incredible because this goes to the laziness of the argument of the left. They believe that if you disagree with them, that you're evil.
Evil is what these protesters call him.
Ladies, I'll gladly take a question from you. Have we established that already?
They say just allowing him to speak is a form of violence. This woman said Rubin's insensitive to the victims on campus.
Biased incidents reports and hate crimes have gone up.
Yeah, so
And people have been spit on, and people have been threatened, and people have been told to go home to their country.
it doesn't mean that bad people don't exist, but tell me about your oppression. Maybe we can work through something. I mean, tell me about your oppression. What
So
oppression?
I have no reason to sit and talk about my own oppression because that's just like mental energy.
Well,
that
I mean,
like
we're
unless
doing
I'm
this-
going to be paid.
It's an oppression Olympics. It's a hierarchy of oppressions.
Oppression Olympics?
Yeah, so you've got to figure out how you are oppressed. If you have a limp, you're this much oppressed, or if you're a Jew, this much oppressed, or a Muslim, this much oppressed. Everyone wants to be oppressed.
There's truth behind it. Blacks have been oppressed. Women, some still are. Women are sometimes oppressed.
No society is perfect, but the United States, by and large, has given more freedom to more people from every walk of life, regardless of your skin color, your sexuality. We have problems, yes. We can talk about all of those things, but to tell me those are things because you are oppressed, it ain't true, and that idea needs to be decimated.
So in the beginning, before I get into what they talked about, I want to say something that is absolutely hilarious to no extent, to an unlimited extent, I should say. So if you see at the bottom left corner, there's a Reason watermark. Now, Reason is a libertarian, like, I think they have like op-eds and different stuff like that. It's basically a libertarian think tank. But something really hilarious is when I saw that, and I already knew that they were this sort of libertarian think tank, what I did really quick was just a quick Google search of who funds Reason TV. And I'm sure you already know who funds it. I think it was one of the Koch brothers who was, I think, the second highest donor to Reason. So the irony here is there's like there's a meeting of the Koch brother funded people. So you have one douchebag who says he left the left, who's being funded by the Koch brothers, and then the other guy says he left the left, and he's also being funded by the Koch brothers. So you've got a meeting of the sellouts who are being funded by the Koch brothers. I thought that was absolutely hilarious. I couldn't stop laughing at that. But he talks about CNN and saying that, you know, if you watch CNN, you'll be dumber. You won't learn anything. So the thing is I have my issues with CNN, no doubt. CNN will often shill for the establishment pretty much all the time. CNN is the status quo. That's what they are. And so they do this sort of PC version of the establishment, being a bunch of douchebags, basically. But my issues with CNN are really sort of integrity-based things. So a big example is when they were counting the delegates between Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton in the Democratic Party primary. Well, what they did is they included the count of superdelegates, which gave Hillary a massive, massive look that she's dominating Bernie Sanders, where if you took that out, it's close. So they added in, I think it was something like 600 superdelegates to the count. And you expect people to look at that and then want to go out for Bernie Sanders. They're not going to think that, oh, he's going to lose anyways. That right there is total lacking integrity, total irresponsible journalism is what that is. That is completely reprehensible, irresponsible journalism because they're not being ethical. If you're being ethical, you wouldn't include that in there because you know that they don't actually vote until the convention, which I think was in July or August or June, sometime in the summer. And we know that they flip. For example, when Obama was running against Hillary, they flipped for Obama once the convention came around. But of course, the existence of superdelegates in and of itself is an abomination to the idea of democracy, period. But they also boxed out Bernie Sanders. There was a study. They kept running Trump sound bites instead of actually covering Bernie Sanders' campaign in any way, shape, or form. He was completely boxed out of essentially the entire media. He was totally on media blackout. And so the media was clearly acting in bad faith and lacking ethical integrity in terms of journalism. So those are my issues with CNN. Dave Rubin's issues with CNN is that he believes that they're somehow like fake news. Like the guy who goes on InfoWars, he calls CNN, like he thinks CNN is fake news and is stupid. they're not, my issues with CNN are not the same that Dave Rubin has, because Dave Rubin is essentially trying to assert that him having on Republican guests all the time, and then just letting them do a monologue is somehow in any way, shape, or form better than what CNN does. I think what he does is worse than CNN, to be honest with you, because CNN, I mean, at least CNN isn't doing as bad as he is, because he'll just bring on complete idiots and liars on his show and then just let them go on for a monologue. But also, as you guys saw there, I guess he was confronted with the Anna Kasparian criticism of Dave Rubin. And Dave Rubin essentially responded with the straw man. Like, he says that if if you have a different opinion, the left finds you evil. Like, you didn't address any of the criticisms that she had of you. Her criticisms were not that I hate you because you have a different opinion. You're evil. You're an evil human being because you have a different opinion. That's not even close to what she said. What she said is that essentially, if you are, she's essentially saying that you were a sellout. That's what she was saying. You sold out to the Koch brothers because that is where you saw the money coming from. And so that's what you did. So you didn't actually address anything from Anna Kasparian. You just basically, you strawmanned, you lied, you made shit up. You said, oh, if you have a different opinion, the left finds you evil. Nowhere in there did she say that. Not even close. She just explained that you were a lazy motherfucker at the Young Turks and you didn't actually have any political convictions or any political principles. And so you decided to flip because, holy shit, there's so much opportunity on the right with all the Patreon dollars, all the fans that I can get, and all of the donors. I mean, he admitted that Learn Liberty sponsors one video per month. A video per month is sponsored by Learn Liberty. Learn Liberty is an offshoot of the Institute for Humane Studies, who sits on the board of the Institute for Humane Studies. Charles G. Koch. Yes, the Koch brothers are funding Dave Rubin, and Dave Rubin failed to respond to anything that Anna Kasparian actually said, and he decided instead to just absolutely smear, absolutely lie, and just completely bullshit. But Dave Rubin, let's be real, dude. You left the left because you found an opportunity for fame, you found an opportunity for money, and you found an opportunity for a new step in your career. That's what you found. You found career comfortability. It's a hard word to say. Comfortability, and you just switched, man, because you don't have any political convictions. And Blair White's spoken about this too. She didn't name any names, but I mean, we could sort of, figure out and surmise who it is. But unbelievably laughable.